Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second DAO Alliance call. Just because I actually got the question from Jess, I'll just kind of rehash again, at least what these specific calls are that I'm hosting. And if that ever changes, we'll acknowledge it. But these DAO Alliance calls are for everyone to kind of have space to talk about their respective DAOs, or maybe a DAO you're thinking about starting, but you want to do your due diligence and figuring out logistics and structure and sustainability first. So the idea with these calls is it's your time and space to ask questions related to whatever DAO you're part of. And we know people sometimes are part of multiple DAOs. It's part of the ecosystem. So it is meant to be like a space for you to ask questions, or for you to get information, or for you to problem solve with the group if you kind of need support. So the style of these calls are more like mastermind coaching calls than they are we list out deliverables, or like me or whoever's hosting the meeting just like talks at you. And the reason we want to host this style of meeting, as well as all of our other trainings and DAO tooling trainings and things like that we're doing, and like the social tokens workshop that we ran, is because the word mastermind comes from the idea that the most powerful, most innovative minds are not one person's mind, no matter how intelligent they are, even if they're a genius. Ultimately, like, the most masterful mind is a collection of minds coming together to solve problems. Because even with what we were talking about before we hit record, uh, when different people come together to create things, whether it be at a hackathon or whether it be solving problems for sustainability in DAOs, you're going to get unique answers. And the more unique the answers, the more innovative we are and the more likely we are to succeed. So this is just like a really good space to get support from other people, because a lot of the people on this call are DAO founders. And so it can feel like you have to do a lot of things on your own. You have to problem solve a lot on your own. You might have contributors and core team members, but depending on what stage you're at, it might not feel like you can just hand things off to them and go focus on something else. So this is just a space to kind of be with peers and not have to be the lead, but to be a place where we're all equals and we all have something important to say. And then the rules, I'll just keep going over the ground rules, are, if you're someone who, this is also a rule for myself, if you're someone like me who also like talks a lot, and you find yourself constantly sharing your opinion, it's just asking yourself, is my opinion actually going to add value to the conversation? Will other people find value in what it is that I'm saying? If you're unsure, just write it in the chat. And the reason I just say that is because we have like limited time. And then if you're someone who doesn't often share your opinion, but feels drawn to say something, I would actually really encourage you to speak up and share your wisdom, because again, this is really about like a collective. Today's topic is all about, again, you started a DAO, now what? And the biggest thing that we've been seeing, not just from like and when I say our, I mean like, us in Blu3 DAO, our research on all the places you research Web3, Twitter, Discord, maybe Reddit for some people, but I stay away from Reddit. One of the biggest things that keeps coming up, as well as what Harmony has also just released, is that the number one thing really threatening DAOs, other than, of course, not having a good governing system or treasury management, and this piece kind of falls under treasury management, is not being sustainable. Most DAOs require funding, which is great right now because we're in the space where people want DAOs to build out systems and tools on their blockchain using their protocol. However, in 5 years from now, that might not be the case. And so with all of the DAOs on this call, like, because I know what everyone's doing, you're creating really important groups, DAOs, systems, processes, projects that we want to see last the time. And in order for that to happen, we just have to find ways to create sustainability within our own ecosystem, not because we can't have grant funding, but because we can't guarantee that grant funding will be there in the future. And so these calls are really to also help us brainstorm ways to be sustainable. I saw someone drop something in the chat. Are there any good for dummies links articles on launching and structuring a DAO? I've got a few that I can send over afterwards. And I think that those will be the things too. I really encourage people, if you come across good stuff, drop it in the Discord DAO Alliance chat, because that's where most of us can go and check and look at resources. And we have Melanie, who is like our organizational ops lead. So we can also like eventually, I'm sure Melanie will put together something because she's Melanie and she does everything without you even having to ask. So she's probably already doing it for all I know. Okay. So there aren't a lot of people on the call. So I was going to go breakout rooms, but we have, I think, like enough to be in a breakout room. I'm just going to encourage everyone. Annalisa, it's okay if you're sick or not actually there. But like last time, but I'm just going to call on you. I just want you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about like why you're on this call, like what, maybe a little bit about your DAO or a little bit about what kind of problem you're looking to solve, just anything that you feel like will be important for the group to know about you. And let's try and keep it to a minute or under for your introduction. So Jess, I'll have you go first.
Oh, hi, everybody. I'm Jess, new member to Blu3. I just got back from Amsterdam yesterday. We were one of the 3 women teams that did really well. We created something called DAOverse. Thank you all. So I'm particularly interested in DAO Alliance and talking about this because we're trying to figure out in the next stages of our project, we want to take it forward. We essentially created a VR-enabled metaverse experience for onboarding and continued engagement with DAOs, and it's fully live if you guys want to go to DAOverse.org. Of course, like the functionality is going to be increased, and we started with Blu3 DAO, and the idea is to build it out. But yeah, I'm particularly interested in structuring this so perhaps like DAOverse itself is a DAO, and then it has this service where we onboard DAOs within different type of like structures that move down. But I don't know enough about it to know how to even start that and how to integrate it. So that is why I am here.
That's awesome. And yeah, and just if anyone doesn't know yet, Jess was on one of the teams in Amsterdam that was representing Blue DAO that just swept ETH Amsterdam. So and that was the project that they worked on, which is really cool. Okay, Amy, you're up next. You're on my screen next.
Hey, so sorry, what was the question? Why am I here?
Just like who you are and why you're here.
Hi everyone, I'm Amy, co-founder of Blue DAO, author of Harmony's book. I am here because we are working towards building a Blue DAO Alliance for our 1,000 DAOs. And there's a lot to figure out together, even for Blue DAO ourselves. I have so many questions like, how do we structure our DAO? How do we build our tokenomics? How do we hire a core team and still remain decentralized? How do we pay our people? How do we do anything? So many questions. And also on top of that, how do we fundraise, right? So right now, my sister and I are at the position of how do we increase more funding for our DAO so that we can incubate more women-led projects. And we had a very powerful conversation on our last night in Amsterdam with all those women that was invited to our TGI dinner. It was celebrating our 3 hackathon wins, but also talking about like, how can we support each other as we grow into this space? All of us have our projects, our DAOs, or we're contributing to other DAOs. And there are things that we have to deal with. There are issues that we deal with on a daily basis when you're on the ground. And TGI was something that Harmony had started from the Google days. And thank God it's basically a weekly meeting that they have. And what they do in these meetings is they talk about ideas. They talk about like pain points of the industry and what can we create together. But beyond that, they also talk about like the pains of fundraising, of dealing with like any sort of issues when it comes to running a business. And with that, they have this brotherhood, right, from that. But they also talk about like their childhood issues and insecurities or any of that blind spots. And together, like how Lana kicked off this call, together we are more powerful with our brains together as a mastermind. He put it a lot better than I did. But that's why we wanted to adopt a similar culture. We're not calling this TGI, but it's basically our mastermind for women and allies and non-binaries to come together to talk about our DAOs and how can we structure it well together. And that's why I'm here.
Awesome. And we're happy to have you. There's always more energy in the room when Amy's in it, even if it's a virtual room, Zoom room.
Thank you, Lana.
Oh, thank you. Okay, Marina, you're up next. I know I'm making people speak.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marina. I'm from Brazil, São Paulo. I'm also a Blu3 scholar. We were an ethereal, and we secured and actually got a grant to pre-launch Me Too DAO, which is a DAO basically focused on building a safe and health space on Web3 for all, including women, non-binary, LGBT people. So basically, we're working with education, collaboration, and innovation to prevent any incidents of sexual misconduct or discriminatory behavior, racism, LGBT phobia, and other gender-based violences. I'm an attorney. I have been working with victims of violence for the past 15 years, and we have a nonprofit in Brazil that has Web2 and real world operation of supporting women and men that are victims of sexual violence, children, and also teenagers. And the idea is to continue with Me Too DAO to bring our expertise as experts on preventing this kind of incidents in Me Too Brazil, also to the Web3 space.
Thank you for all the work that you do, and we're very happy that you're here with us. And we loved meeting you in Rio. Okay. Also, I always love when people on the like, you know, when you're in Web3 and people like mention what they do like in the real world, and you're always like, this is such a talented group of people. But it's just like this funny thing, like, oh yeah, I'm also a lawyer, but actually I'm starting a DAO. So I always love those. Okay, Sheila, you're up next.
Good morning, ladies. My name is Sheila. I'm from New Jersey. And I have my concern. I'm also in the process of building my DAO, which is We Age. And it's about really, we age with freedom to create as women, okay? And I'm going to bridge the gap between the young and the older ones, because I find that sometimes the older ones, we don't understand or take in the information like the younger ones. And I feel that there's a need for us older women to blend in with the younger ones, okay? Also, I'm in the process of writing my book, which Amy inspired me to rebirth. And also, I spoke to Amy about this, but I want to create a butterfly tree with Blu3 DAO, because Amy's book is basically started most of it. And to me, it just seems like it's dwindling on the sides. So this butterfly tree basically symbolizes everyone's DAO or whatever their successes are that came from Blu3 DAO. So that tree is a symbol. And my symbol for that tree would be a heart, because she inspired me with my book. So my heart would be flying on that butterfly. So this is what I'm working on right now. And as Amy mentioned, the sustainability is what I'm concerned about, because I'm in the process of building my DAO, and then, you know, you have your DAO, Amy has her DAO, you know, there's a Journey to Wealth DAO, there's Melanie's DAO. How do we support each other? Because it's so much. So that's what I see in the future. So right now I am hesitant about really going strong with my DAO, because I want to see how everything works, and I do want to contribute to everyone, but I don't want to get in and then I can't really give my support. So I'm kind of leaning on the edge with that. So that's my story. I'm complete.
Oh, thank you, Sheila. And I know thank you. I always love what you say. There also needs to be a crying emoji reaction because the heart didn't do what you say justice. I need a crying emoji. But I also know, there's a cat crying emoji. Even with what you were saying about, you know, your hesitation in starting a DAO because of all of the sustainability pieces, I know that everyone on the call, like that's what's on their mind, even if they've started the DAO, a DAO. Good thing we don't play drinking games where it's like every time we say the word DAO, you take a shot. We would not make it through this meeting.
We can start it.
It's true. Yeah, maybe it's just like we'll do like, you know, wheatgrass shots or something healthy.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, it's something that's on all of our minds. And so this is the exact place we want to bring up those concerns, because I know sometimes when we're in spaces, you don't want to bring up problems, because sometimes people don't want to talk about the problems. They just want to talk about all of the really fun, exciting stuff. And so this space is definitely for us to like work through how, like, what are the problems and how can we try and solve them as a group? Even if we're not a part of your DAO, we're stronger together, and we are like the tree house of DAOs. And so we really do want to support each other. And that's why I want everyone to explain what they're doing. Even if we kind of just hear the same explanations over and over again, one day we might be like, oh, wait, I know someone who actually I met the other day or saw online who's doing something, and I'm going to connect you now. And that's part of these calls too. Okay. Diana, you're up.
I love that little evil grin that you do when you're selecting someone to talk. You know what you're doing.
Like,
I'm an evil dictator in this Zoom. Hi, everybody. Hola, Annalisa. Espero que te estés sintiendo mejor, guapa. You have a little face of...
I'm okay. I just woke up. It's 7 a.m. here.
Late. That is late, girl. Hi, everybody. Hola, Stephanie. I'm we're pendants. Y hola a todos, de verdad, qué gusto verlos. It's so nice to see you all. So yes, I have a lot of questions and I have a lot of problems. So first time DAO founder, like many people here. So I am kind of glad to say I have reached to the point where I'm kind of glad to say that we have reached to the 3-month goal in 1 month. But yes, now what? That was easy enough. We didn't see that coming. So now in this next 3 months, we are aspiring to like get to maybe 6 months worth of goals, because we already did that much. But now the fun part begins. I want to put a pin on the questions that I have to be developed during the call, which will be, right now I'm just building my community. I started my DAO with only 3 governors, and one of my governors is already, you know, in a lot of projects herself. And, you know, I need to find people who are also interested and inspired to also work in my project, right? So what I'm struggling right now is to find those people and to find like the right message to involve them, with them knowing that it will be a contribution that doesn't precisely, it's going to pay them right now, while I'm showing up and, you know, fucking burning out from all the networking to actually get the funding to precisely bring us up and, you know, show financial, you know, results for the contributors. So this is where I'm at right now. Like, where do I find the people who are willing to bet on the project, willing to bet on the community? I already have the pitch deck, have the notion, have everything. But I'm in the context of Latin America, and we don't do anything without having the contract, without having the when are you going to pay me kind of situation, kind of culture. I know that that is replicated in any culture, but here precisely it's like you have to pay me upfront. So that is what I'm struggling right now. Like, that is the part of the building that is really not really talked about, because not everyone is going to be immediately on board with you and risking hours that they could have been paid working for someone else. So that's me.
Thank you. And that's a good, thank you for bringing up that problem, because I think it is like finding good people to be in our DAOs with us doing the work, especially when you're not like, it's easy if you're like, oh, and I can pay you $100K a year for your work. It's a lot easier. But when you're in that startup mode, it's a lot harder. And so we can definitely talk about that, because the startup of a DAO is the same as a startup of a startup, in terms of like when you work in a startup business, even if they're paying you, it's like they're essentially not paying you in comparison to what you could be making working for an established company. And so we can talk about that because it's kind of, it's a lot of it is the same style of stuff where I think even Amy and Novell can speak about that later, like after we've done the introductions, because I would say that they've done an incredible job of really pushing the mission. And so because they push the mission, people are inspired to like step up and do stuff. And so it can even just be us helping you hammer out how to make your mission, like your mission is great, but how to actually articulate your mission to people in a way that inspires them. Because that's not always easy. So that's definitely something we can help with. And thanks for bringing that up because that'll help a lot of people. Okay, next up, Al, the ally.
Thank you. So why I'm here, right? It's been so amazing just watching how Blu3 has been flourishing. So that's one aspect why I'm also here. But identifying what are common goods and bads, what are the best practices, because we're all here to learn together. And I'm noticing certain patterns, and with the different patterns, like I think more deeply in how I could identify solutions. Secondly, it's also being here because of my name is Al the ally, like you mentioned, Lana. That was nice. I guess I kind of coined that, and it's because of the alliances and witnessing the impacts of what everyone is creating for the world. And it's inspirational for me too. It's like words of encouragement, right? And how we are going to work through Web3 together. So funny enough, like my own emoji on working for Harmony is the treehouse. And I've been identifying myself like as people, like keeping myself grounded, keeping people grounded, as well as like having the roots of the beginning and helping people seed out. So become like parts of different branches and such. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you, Alan. We always love having you here. Or at least I do. I guess I can't speak for everyone, but I feel like it's everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, Melanie. The amazing Melanie that we all need in our lives.
Oh, Anna. She's so kind. Hello, everyone. I am Melanie. I'm in Brooklyn, New York. I'm passionate about connecting resources to underserved communities. In my other life, I'm an e-commerce entrepreneur. I have a children's brand, and it's called We Are Mini Masters, and it's about empowering children of color through affirmation and representation. Right? It's a T-shirt brand. I don't think I've shared that at all in this space, and I just realized that. So that's something else that I do that's in alignment with all of the things we're talking about, meeting needs in underserved communities. So I work in operations and project management with Blu3 DAO. And also I'm a co-founder of Black Leaders DAO, which was birthed in Rio. And with, I guess, some of the things that, we could use support with, the proposal is quite large, and just pulling it in, and pulling it in a more succinct and clear way, and how we can empower Black people getting into Web3. Because for me, I think about, I went to Rio, is the only place I've been to, and there wasn't a lot of Black people in the space. So it's like, where are we reaching from, right? When I hear people talking, I feel like they're already talking to people that are in the field. And so I'm like, are we going to people that are not in the field at all, right? So then first we would need to educate them, like, this is what's available to you, why it's of value, and how it can truly impact our community specifically. In Journey to Wealth, this investment community that I'm involved in, there was a woman who showcased her business, and I just had an informal call with her yesterday, and she was talking about all of the amazing things that she was doing, but she's one person and she has a family, and I just, she didn't really know what a DAO was, and I just thought, it just provided more context as to why this can be so valuable, specifically in the Black community, because oftentimes we lack resources, network, income, not income, financial resources and just resources of people to effectively grow an idea and build together. And so DAOs, instead of everyone working in their individual pockets, DAOs can be extremely resourceful to our community. So it was just so exciting to think about the best way to articulate that, to many people at once. So those are the things I'm thinking about. How do I solve that?
Thank you for sharing that, Melanie.
Yeah.
I have a question. I'm Canadian, so I'm not actually sure, but there is, in the United States, isn't there a like well-known like African-American Black college?
There's
university?
there's a system called HBCUs, which is historically Black universities. Yeah. And so I have been thinking about reaching out to those organizations. And I wondered, right, like, would those kids already know, because so I was thinking two things, HBCUs, and I was also thinking about schools that focus in engineering. I'm like, would those people already know? I mean, I don't know. But those were two things that I was thinking about. But what were you gonna say? Sorry.
No, because I was like, actually, for funding purposes to like grow your treasury and sustainability, like oftentimes colleges and universities, what we call them universities, they have funding because they have large donor bases. And so they want to actually give out like funding to a certain kind of initiatives. And obviously Black Leaders DAO, like educating like the next generation on how to utilize Web3. They might, because some of the places might have essentially, like, you have to go to a really innovative college for them to have serious, good Web3 teachings and resources, but like the vast majority of places don't. And it's just something, and this is to think for everyone, right? Like we talked about on our last call, and Melanie, you brought it up, was we traditionally also only think about creating fundraising or creating revenue within the ecosystem that already exists of Web3. But the reality is the pool is way larger in terms of outside of Web3 to actually, and everyone wants to be or will want to be onboarded. And so just always recognizing like, oh yeah, like sometimes revenue creation might actually exist out of the current ecosystem, and you can find funding through being a bridge. And obviously like with Black Leaders DAO, it's like, I feel like that would be a no-brainer. And that's the truth for everyone. Like some of our DAOs, our missions and what we're doing would be like a no-brainer. Jess, I saw you raise your hand.
Yeah, so Melanie, I love this. So there's a thing called NACA. I don't know if you've heard of it, NACA. And essentially there are these program budgets for colleges all across the US. They have 3 regional conferences and 2 national conferences. They have to spend their program budget by the end of the year or they lose it. So you can apply. They want to know it's something entertaining. So you have to put together like, some sort of course or class or demonstration, but they pay thousands and thousands of dollars for it. So you just have to apply. It's NACA, and you'd have to apply per region that you'd actually want it. And there's like usually like a $200 fee. And then once you showcase, all these program directors show up and they bid on, like, they'll actually order you. It's a little bit strange. Like they'll like fill out slips and like hand you an order for your programming. But again, they have to spend that money. So that might be a good resource for you to look into.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
And then Novelle, you have your hand raised too.
Yes, hey guys, I miss you all so much. So I want to address a few of the questions because you guys raised a lot of very good questions. One of it, I think, was it Diana, that you said, you have people in your DAO that have also other DAOs. How do you basically inspire others to be in, right? I would say that one of the ways, what I've realized is that when you are starting a DAO, and let's just say if you don't yet have a community, partner up with other DAOs, okay? And obviously you guys are already part of the Blue DAO Alliance, so that's great. That expands your reach. What I'm trying to say is that it is actually very difficult in this, very challenging in this journey, because DAOs are new and we are pioneers.
So, and a lot of people don't understand DAOs. So it is very important that we stick together and try not to duplicate efforts, and then create our own niche, right? So for example, right now we are building in, we built in sort of in LATAM, right? And right now I know that for all of my LATAM folks, I can send them to Crypto Mujeres and Blue LATAM. And you guys are working very closely together, and make sure that when you guys are working closely together, that you have your own niche. Say, for example, Crypto Mujeres may be focused on education, while Blue LATAM may be focused on doing the launches. You see what I'm saying? So then you are targeting, the folks, and then you have a channel for them to go through. And then you also know that anything relating to sexual harassment or anything like that, you can then go to the Me Too Brazil. So you guys need to work together and see each other as sort of, like different niche that you can bounce off people to. And Diana, you are in the journalist space. So, like for those people coming into, let's just say, Crypto Mujeres, and then you get to understand them, and maybe some of them are journalists or wants to spread the word, they can then go to Diana's DAO. So that's one of the way that I see we can definitely improve on. Because one of the things I realized, at least in Denver, is that everyone wants to be their own leader, and that's that's great and that's amazing. But what we can do better is to see how we can support each other through that. So that's the one thing. The second thing coming out of the East Amsterdam event or conference, like it was so amazing. Like I'm sure you guys remember how it was coming out of Brazil, right? So I'm still like that right now. One of the things I really realized is that we need to have a leader kind of group or chat, just maybe similar to a DAO Alliance. Maybe we'll call them the DAO Alliance, I'm not sure. But what I found very helpful is this group of women, and we all support each other and we hear your pain points. And then after that, for example, we spoke to our team in East Amsterdam about what are some of the pain points, and they went to build the amazing projects for the hackathons. And all three of them won. The Polygon judge actually specifically said that he loved the idea because it came from actual pain points. So what I'm saying is that, we are creating this DAO Alliance Summit, which is very important. I may start another chat on, women leaders for Blue, so that we can support each other through this and make the connection tighter. And you don't have to feel like you are alone trying to create the community. We're already leveraging what the existing community that we have. And I would strongly suggest, if we don't already have this, I would strongly suggest all of the LATAM DAOs, right? You guys have to, like maybe start, let's just say, a weekly or bi-weekly meeting just among yourself to talk about what are some of the initiatives that's being done, so that you can bounce ideas off each other and then also connect them operationally. Yeah. So that's that. And then the third thing I wanted to say is that, Harmony has been, in my opinion, so amazing, being such a great ally to and supporter of women empowerment. They're really being very generous to us by funding these grants and funding these scholars. Now, I don't know if any of you guys heard of this, but they actually got a big backlash from the community for all of the funding of DAOs, and some of them, through Rio. And a lot of it is because they don't understand what we're doing. And unfortunately, none of us are in that forum, and Harmony is just getting bashed. So what I'm trying to say is, if any of us are doing any work, make sure that we are, communicating and broadcasting that through social media and tagging Harmony in it, as well as Blue DAO and your own DAO, of course, and giving them back the token of appreciation so that their community sees that. Because they're getting actually a lot of pressure about not funding DAOs because DAOs are not making money, basically. But I know you guys are doing a lot of good work, so we just need to make sure that the perception and the reality are in sync. I don't know if any one of you guys have anything to say about that, but yeah.
I have something to say. What is happening on what is
first?
Perdón? Again, okay. Hi everybody. Good morning. So just, I think, Nobel, you're absolutely right. We need to create this alliance with every DAO. And sometimes a lot of folks have this mentality of like, oh no, I'm part of this DAO, so I can't contribute in another DAO. And I'm like breaking the bias, like, hey, this is Web3. That is a Web2 mentality. You can't come to that space close-minded. You need to collaborate and help everybody. And I'm just like trying to explain people that it's okay to be a member and to be collaborating with different DAOs. So what I did, my really, really brilliant mind, was to make an alliance with Blue DAO Latam and with Her DAO Latam, because they have the same mission as me. So why are we alone? Why are we like competing to get members? What I did was to offer 10 seats to each DAO for my course for free. So each DAO can take community and bring them to Crypto Mujeres, and then my community can go to Blue DAO for their for Her DAO for their classes as well, and for Blue DAO for their scholarships or whatever they are doing. So I already built that alliance to make clear I'm here to help, and I gave them. I also am partner with different projects, right? One of them are NFTs. NFT projects that are their mission goes with mine. They gave me 50 gold list. So I said, I'm only gonna take this white list, this gold list, if you give me 50 for my other two alliances, for Blue DAO and for Her DAO. And they were like, okay, we can do that. They have the same, I see that they have the same mission. Why not? So that it's like thinking about, building more and becoming bigger. And then about Harmony, what is going on with the Harmony community right now on Reddit? It's been going on since they gave money out for ETH Denver for their DAOs. And the resentment and the sentiment of the Harmony community is, why are they giving money to like a lot of money to DAOs that don't have a community that they're going to start building? And why are they not reporting back? So that is a conversation going on right now. Like, and then there was also this troll saying like they're giving like 40 million out, and they gave 40 million out and they are not like reporting back, and it's just like money to waste. And it's not even true. They didn't even give that amount of money. But it is true that they need to be more diligent with the reporting and how every DAO is spending their money each month and their grants. So yesterday on the ops call of DAOs with Harmony, I proposed for the Y grants every month to do a report and to post it in Mirror and saying, like Diana said, I already accomplished all my milestones, posted, built in public. That's the only way to maintain transparency with not only your DAO and your community, but also with the ones who gave you a grant. And the Harmony community that is not like the core team or the contributors, but the ones that are holding the the one token.
That is so good. Like seriously, that was really, really so good, Annalisa. Yeah, I think you addressed every single thing that I mentioned about that. I want to echo and how do I say it? Emphasize the importance of women supporting other women and not having a scarcity mindset. I love that you just asked for the 50 other slots for Blue and for Her DAO as a way, right, to kind of expand our reach and our influence versus trying to do this. So I really love Annalisa for doing that, because that's truly the Web3 mentality that we want to have. So thank you.
And then Diana, you want to say something?
Yes, what is insane, and I know that I'm being recorded, so I'm very transparent on my complaints. What is insane is that we have to find a way for precisely the people who needs to be transparent, to bring them transparency, so we can show up what they need to show up. So I'm just gonna let that sink in for a moment and then say, yes, we need to establish what I understood from what Nobel was saying, that you're completely right. We need to work with each other. What I was wondering was precisely if we needed to build from the inside out, or rather look for ways on how to find people outside to want to contribute, because that has been like the big struggle when it comes to finding the people who wants to work, because at least in a DAO, I'm not going to be leading the DAO forever. I have way too many things that I want to do, and for that to happen, we need to have Latin American investigative journalism, being properly supported and being part of the conversation in Web3. And that is the whole deal, right, for me right now. But that extends to so many other projects. For example, I am already in alliance with Latam DAO, and already a contributor for Venezuela DAO that is also being impulsed by Harmony very soon, because already has part of the team of Harmony within it. And for all of these alliances to come to life, also I am in the Her DAO Latam team, and also contributing with Crypto Mujeres. Analisa, you got me, girl, I love you. But the thing is that in order to be capable of doing a proper work for all of these projects, we need to delegate. It all comes back, like Lana said, to the startup, the whole startup deal, because it's very, very similar. So in order to be able to delegate at some points to continue building, I need to find the people that I can delegate being a good leader for my community. But how do you find a person that is going to be 24/7 pendant on the news on Web3, or if this person is not getting paid? You need to get a journalist, or you need to get someone that is already in a job that is paid for, because my main struggle is not the dream. My main struggle is setting solid bases so I can make the dream come true, so I can focus on the alliances, so I can focus on bringing the opportunities, etc., etc., etc. Because to me, everything starts with the team, not with me, because I'm already doing everything that I can.
Yeah. Nadina, it's a very real problem. I don't know if I have a solution for you, but I do know that what has been working for Blue DAO, if you think about it, right, like it started from kind of like Amy and I back in, December or November, and then we kind of pulled Al into it, and then we have Sin, and then we have Lana and Kate coming from Denver, and then we have you guys right now coming from Rio, and we're all in the same boat. And why do we do so much? We do so much because we believe in the mission. And even Jess was the same way. Jess just came with us to Amsterdam, and she volunteered so much of her time and her assistant's time. So what I'm trying to say is that until we figure out how to monetize, there are a few ways. One is you can get grants from protocols, and there are many other protocols out there who are giving grants. You have to be diligent about going to the protocols and seeing what grants that they offer. So that's one thing. But grants are not going to be there forever, so you still need to be self-sustainable. Another way is to go to VCs for funding, but it's hard to do that without a community. So you go back to finding the right people. And like 8 people like Amy and Lana, they're very, very good with enrollment conversations. Enrollment conversations, and I know that Annalisa is also amazing with that, and I'm not. So I was I will say that myself, I'm not the best in that conversation, but that's what's going to get people excited about your mission. And always be very transparent about the fact that, let's just say, if you're not able to pay yet, but you will be the eyes and ears for other opportunities. For example, I'm always very transparent about that for all of the Blue contributors, but then we have actually you know, like giving jobs, full-time jobs offers or grants to our people. And if not, then they'll get like, you know, good, let's just say network connections. That's how we can pay back, at least from Blue.
Mm-hmm.
So just
And-
thinking about go ahead, Amy. Yeah. Go,
Oh,
Amy, go.
Does Harmony doesn't have anything that's like Mirror, right? Because you're also a content creator, and one of the things that a lot of everything lacks is content, and people are willing to pay for content. So there's also the idea that like you could seek out bounties for writing, and you just like hold your line though of like, you are obviously a journalist, you're not like a marketing content creator. But you could also get creative in things like this would be maybe more like as you build out a community and a reputation for yourself. But there's also ways to bring on, because like it's a DAO, so it's not an employee-employer setting from the get-go. And so you can also just talk to people who you're bringing on about all the ways in which they could make money for themselves as well. So as an example, you could publish your articles to Mirror. On Mirror, you make them NFTs. Say you sell like every article you publish can be like, you can figure out your pricing structure, right? And the idea would be that like the DAO keeps a percentage of those sales, but then the writer also gets like a large chunk of the commission of sales. And so there's ways for you to create your content, like do your stuff, use blockchain technology, and have it be a way to like create income like that. So it's also just like getting creative with what are your skill sets. And as Novell was saying, like pain points equal revenue generation for all of us. Like wherever there's a pain point, someone will pay for that. And it might not be like the mission of your DAO, but protocols pain points, they don't have enough users. That's why Harmony is giving us grant money to build DAOs on their ecosystem, is because they have a mission, which is to like support really creating radical change in the world. So that's why they're supporting the kinds of DAOs they're supporting. But the other part is because they want users. And so that's a pain point for protocols. So it's always just thinking about, there are infinite ways for us to make money. It's just always asking how creative like we will be in the creation of it. And then when we're working with talent or like trying to acquire people to work with us, it can also just sometimes be, you don't have to pay them. You just need to find ways to help them get paid, like through the channel of your DAO. So Amy, I see you have your hand up, and then Jess, I see you have your hand up. So Amy, you can go. And then...
Yeah, thanks, Lana and Novell. I think that both of them raised a lot of really good points on how your DAO can generate revenue. But wait, where did she go? There now. I think your question was, how can you get people to work for the DAO if you're not paying them, correct? Did I hear?
Yes, exactly. And basically how to get them engaged enough so I don't have to worry about them while I keep working.
Yes. So here's where you have the conversations of enrollment, as my sister point to. The difference here is mindset. If someone is coming to you and they're like, I want to get paid this much to be working this much, that's an employee mindset. But in DAO world, in a startup world, that's not the conversation we're having. We're talking about equity. We're talking about ownership. If you look at the people that make the most money, like life-changing money, generational wealth creation, those are startups and entrepreneurs, not employees. As an employee, you get taxed a lot and you're getting a paycheck on a stable basis, so you're not really taking risk. If you want something like that, then you're not taking risk, then Web2 world is probably better for you. In Web3, when you're starting a DAO, when you're starting a project, you are now changing from an employee to an owner mindset. And to be an owner, you have to take risk. What does it mean to take risk? That means you don't know if you're going to get a payout. You believe in the mission, you find a product, which is based on the pain points, and then you enroll those people to join your mission. And together as a group, you have to figure out, how can we generate revenue together? Now, of course, I understand we all have to pay bills. So Novell and I, we try to emphasize, like, don't quit your job to join Blue DAO because we can't afford to pay our bills yet, right? So when people join DAOs, they have to understand that this is some like a side gig, like a side, what do you call it? A side hustle, right? You work on it on the nights and the weekends. And then with a DAO based on your mission, you as a group, you want to enroll people to be an owner of your DAO, right? Not an employee. An owner means, let me thank you. An owner means you're taking risk together. And that's how you can empower people, Diana, to join your DAO so that they can work quote unquote for free, but it's not really for free, right? Because you're thinking about the potential of what your DAO could be. And then I think Novell and Lana already brought up a lot of really good points on how you can fund your DAO. In order to get funding, guys, you have to solve a pain point, or you have to have a community, either or. All right.
And a community is still a pain point because a community like people want you to have a community because their pain point is they need more eyeballs on whatever they're doing. And your community is your collateral for the funding.
Correct. Yeah. So if you want to think about value in society, look at what drives value in our world. Value is when you create a product that solves a pain point. Value is when you bring users, which is your communities. So if you don't have an established community already, how do you drive up that community, right? So for like Annalisa, you already had your Crypto Mujeres community. So you already had value, right? Because you already had a community. And then so for Annalisa, she had to focus on how can I turn my community into monetization? In other words, how can you create a product to create revenue from that? If you have a product, that means you have an income generating idea. How can you drive users to that product? So it depends on what stage of your business. That's how you can increase income. If you go to VCs for funding, you have to be able to pitch them. Why should you fund me? And that's based on what I just talked about, your community or your product or potential. And then same thing with protocols, right? Like with Harmony right now, they're very focused on increasing one wallet users. So if you say, I run this workshop for you, or I run a conference, scholarship conference for you, and we can increase, 1,000 users on your wallet, then of course, how many will want to fund you? So you have to think about it that way. And Diana, to your business, right, journalism, Solana brought up a lot of really good points. A lot of these protocols need help with marketing. They need help with writing. So when you can enroll people to join your DAO and say, hey, we're in this together. We don't have cash right now, but how can we create value for the industry and get paid together? So don't make it your problem, make it our problem.
Awesome. Okay,
That's why
Jess,
she's so amazing at what she does.
Yeah, I know. Okay, Jess, your hand's up.
Yeah, I'm literally just piggybacking on what Amy said about the enrollment and just taking it one step further. Like I always, with my team, I train people, and if they're not interested in something that they're working on, I always encourage them to figure out a solution to work on something else. So I would say with this case, like it is enrolling people into a we, but it's also saying, you're right, this is something that has value. Can I put you as a lead on this to figure out how to monetize? Like, are you willing to take a leadership role with this and content and figure out how we can monetize this vertical? You wouldn't believe the amount of you'll see a response once you give somebody a leadership role with regards to monetization of the thing that they're doing. So yeah, again, piggybacking on the we, but also putting the challenge back on them and say, you do deserve to be paid. This is a different ecosystem. Can you help us solve this problem? You come from this world. Where do you see the opportunities are? And do you want to be a lead in this space?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like for all of us in our DAOs, we're essentially looking for people who are interested in sweat equity over turnkey, because I love real estate. So, there's like people who go into a really beautiful house and can't see past all the work that they have to do, so they don't buy the property. And then there's people who will go into a property, see the potential of something, but recognize all the work they have to put in to get it there. Those people make infinitely more money than the people who just want turnkey. And so the idea with like the employee mindset versus the DAO entrepreneurial mindset is you want people to see the potential in where you're going and who want to build with you as much as you want to build it. And while those people sometimes are harder to find, once you find them, your life is immensely easier. Like even just like with Annalisa, I'm always just like, and I'm still very convinced that Annalisa will one day, there will be a world leader and it will be Annalisa. But one of the things too, I wanted to kind of bring up as just like, even for an analogy for the DAO stuff, around sustainability, that's important for us to remember. DAO sustainability is not a DAO issue. It's a human issue. And statistics show that when people win the lottery, I think it's like within 5 years of winning the lottery, people who weren't already wealthy, I think it's like there's like a 75% chance that in 5 years of winning the lottery, they're going to file for bankruptcy. Melanie knows exactly what I'm talking about. And so because she's the whole like wealth education thing. And so this is so important for DAOs, because the reality is we have a human problem, which is we are not taught financial literacy. And so because we are not taught financial literacy in our individual lives, we definitely aren't bringing financial literacy into our organizations that we're building. And so part of DAO sustainability is recognizing like the trap of winning the lottery, because it's the same thing. You get handed a lot of cash. And then you're like, I don't know what systems I need to set up in place to like make this cash sustainable. And so it's also just like us knowing, because yeah, DAOs are getting some heat, but the reality is this is a people problem, because we don't know how to manage wealth. We don't know how to manage an influx of cash and make it sustainable. And that's why we want to talk about these things. So it's not just about how much money or revenue can your DAO generate. It's also about how smart can your DAO be with holding on to those funds and using that money wisely. And that's why like treasury management is huge. And, you know, like some people are talking about, yeah, like the price of ones. When everyone got their ones, it's like you didn't have any time, because like it's like you sent your ones and then like the price of ones dipped. But what you're seeing is that there's also volatility in crypto, which we already all know. And that's why like learning how to manage your treasury like a person, and this is like where Melanie can speak a lot to it, and Alex, I know he's an investor, and obviously Amy and Novell. But the idea is you want to look at your treasury the same way that you would look at like your own kind of like net worth or assets as an individual. And how do you invest those in a way that is not just to keep you afloat next month, but is to create sustainability for 5 years down the road. And so it is like a combination of treasury management, like money management. Don't be the people who win the lottery. And also looking at ways in which to actually build income. And that's why we have people like Marcelo here anyway, for all the treasury management stuff.
Lana, I
okay.
love that you just talked about that, because that was literally the topic of our Blu3 DAO Alliance Summit in Amsterdam.
Oh, I wasn't even there.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, hey, we're on the same page here, aligned, synchronicity. We talked about how my book is about financial literacy, create wealth and harmony. And the topic in Amsterdam was, how do DAOs create wealth and harmony? And so if you guys have read my book, there's 3 sections. The first section is relationship with money. So a DAO, or an organization, is essentially a collective of human beings. And some DAOs, like think of nonprofits, they might be like, oh, we don't need money. And then for profit is the other extreme, like, oh, we only want money, right? So both are unhealthy relationship to money. And so as a DAO, where is your organization's relationship to money? That's the first section. And then the second section is financial literacy acumen. As to your point, save, protect, invest, create, right? Don't spend more than you make. How do you protect the treasury or assets that you have against fluctuations in your cryptocurrency? And then invest. How can you turn your 100,000 to 300,000? And last but not least, create. So create value in the industry so that you can monetize for your DAO. So read my book.
So everyone read the book. All our problems will be solved. Okay, and so just then I want to open it up for discussion. But I kind of want to just like throw out some things for us to think about that are important with our DAO systems. Is one of the things is, again, it's a DAO, so it's a living, breathing ecosystem. So how we set it up might obviously not be how it ends up. That's part of the thing with a DAO. And same thing's true with companies and all this kind of stuff. But how big do you want this to be is actually an important question, because if your kind of 5-year vision for your DAO is small and mighty, which you're allowed to do that. Like as governors, you're allowed to decide like that you don't want a team to be bigger than X. Those are like DAOs are still allowed to create like structure and boundaries for their thing. It's just about voting power. So it's knowing that like that could be voted and that could change in the future. But when you don't want to just assume forever growth for the sake of forever growth. And when you're looking at, again, how to create revenue and treasury management, sometimes the idea can be, okay, for the first 3 years or 2 years, we're going to be really small and mighty. And our goal is to actually like reinvest a lot of things back into the treasury, reinvest back in and just have a few contributors. And then year 3, we do something else, or year 3, we kind of reevaluate. And these questions are important for us to ask, because also sometimes where we go wrong is we just think we have to grow forever. And that's where we can sometimes also lose money, lose people power. And it's funny because we feel like we're becoming the opposite of a bottleneck because we're like growing rapidly, but there's still going to be a bottleneck unless you have really good systems in place. So one of the things I just want everyone to think about, myself included, is how big do you actually like want your thing to be within the next few years? Like how big do you envision your DAO being? That's important to the structure. The other thing is your audience also your customer? They're not always the same thing. Your audience that you're building. So let's say as an example, like with Annalisa, and sometimes it's a combination, like with Crypto Majeras, it could be like your audience is also your customer, but then you also actually have other customers, AKA like protocols, who are giving you funding. And for some of us, our audience, like even say Black Leaders DAO, you might decide our audience isn't really our customer. Our audience is our audience. That's leverage that we have when we actually go to the people who are going to pay us, because maybe you do more business to business, a DAO to DAO or DAO to protocol or whatever. And so it's just thinking about too, again, like what problems do you solve? What are the pain points? And like, are your audience and your customer the same? Because that also actually impacts the kind of content that you create. Like for Blue DAO, at least at this stage, our audience isn't actually our customer, not yet at least. And with the things that we've been creating, our audience is our community that helps us grow our DAO, but our audience isn't necessarily like at this stage, other than NFTs, it's like we're not selling something. Whereas with Crypto Majeras, you might be selling your courses to people. So those are just things too to think about, because where we focus our attention around, like where are we trying to gain, like not gain profitability, but create some revenue, we can also just sometimes be looking at the wrong grouping of people. And our audience, again, might not always be our customer. Thinking about how big do you actually want this to be? And in what ways can you monetize whatever it is that you're doing, like fees for service, like Uniswap as an example, like it's like a application that you use that obviously we know from Marcelo showing us. So like you could do liquidity pools, but maybe your team actually builds out some applications. Those applications funded by protocols, you actually get a fee for service. And so that's actually your generation model in terms of like how you create revenue, but then you're front facing, you do education programs for people. Like there are a lot of ways for us to create stuff in Web3 that we have ownership over that can create long-term income or create short-term income. And then again, obviously like looking at the treasury management. But I wanted to open it up to see, Diana, we kind of talked a little bit about your question, but does anyone else have like a specific topic or question that they want the group's support or opinion or feedback on? I'm not sure if Marcella, did you raise your hand? Okay, yeah, got it. Okay, you go. I'll ask you to unmute yourself, and then you should be able to talk. Oh, hold on. Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hi everyone. Good morning here in Brazil. At least it's morning. No, it's not morning. Sorry. And yesterday we have this call, and I think it was Annalisa who made a great question about the sustainability and about the difference between the amount of money there was promised and the amount of money they actually deliver. And she raised an important point about the promise that we do as a DAO, as the founders, to our contributors and our governors. Because if you promise them to pay in dollars, they will be expecting to receive like $100, $200 per week. If it's once, they will be expecting receive in once. And this led me to the point raised by Chuck. I think his name was Chuck from DAO. Chuck. And he showed us a tool, a nice tool, where you can like measure the, yes, check. You can measure the knowledge of a member of a DAO about some important points to the DAO. Like, for example, if you want every governor of your DAO to know about the fluctuation of the price of crypto. So you have this course that all members will do that, and then you will be certain that all of them know about this. I think this is good because we can like prevent of promising the dollar value, and then we can prevent a lot of problems about what we have and what we can deliver to our governors, to our contributors. In my own projects, the blockchain escola, blockchain in school, no one is receiving a salary, except Mariana. Mariana is receiving, but it's more like to earn, not to learn, not to do work or anything like that. But my plan is to keep it small in the first year, because we will not have the money to actually taking care of the people that we get on board. So in the first year, I'll be developing like some tools to build some income to the DAO. And then after we have like, hey, now we got $1,000 every month. So now we can provide basic income to 10 people of $100 a month, just to learn something to students. I think it's sustainable. I don't know. I'm just sharing this with you, just to know what you girls think.
Yeah, I was reading. Again, I don't quite know what the Harmonies. They have a DAO. I think they took the word alliance. I read somewhere that I think they're trying to actually figure out the solution to the fluctuation of ones in terms of what they promise and what they send, but I wasn't sure like if that applies to us or not based on it. But I know that that's definitely, because it's true. Like you're like, if you are told you're going to get so much, and then it's one thing if you just don't move the ones to stablecoin, which also we're trying to make all of that easier with OmniSig. And so I know that Harmony's trying to make better tools, because they recognize that right now there's like the tooling isn't quite there for us to do the things we should do that would make the sustainability of DAOs easier and better. But I loved your point of, again, like really planning out, okay, yeah, like for the first year, our goal or objective is to not really pull out profits. And that's like normal of a business, is oftentimes like the first year, the first bit, it's like, again, sweat equity over profits. And again, everyone gets to determine like how they do stuff, and depending on your funding and what you do. And also if you're able to generate really good sources of revenue, well, then that can kind of change. So that was a good point of like your plan for the next year is to do this, and then you like reevaluate afterwards. So that was awesome. And Elisa, you're up.
Yes, I'm gonna lower my hand. Okay. three things about what Marcelo said and about yesterday's conversation with Harmony DAO Ops was, and I said it because of Diana. She made me think about this really, really much. We received 10K supposedly for the white grant, but we only received $8,000 in the value of ones, right? So it was already $2,000 off budget. And it's like, okay, how now we already sent a proposal. We cannot edit the proposal that was approved, but now we need to report that that happened and that we are gonna make some changes in the budget and we're gonna move some things to work with that. But what should we do as the three governors? What should we do? Should we convert the ones into a stable coin, stake a percentage, and the other percentage keep it in ones? We didn't know. So I proposed, and I feel so shitty right now and so responsible because I propose let's keep it in ones so we can attract and pay in ones and we can attract more people to the mainnet of Harmony. That's our objective. That's how we maintain a healthy relationship with our grant partners, right? So if we're gonna hire a graphic designer, if we're gonna hire a web developer, if we're gonna hire this and that, let's make them download the Harmony mainnet in their MetaMask and pay them in ones. Mm-hmm. And now the ones are like 10 cents, right? So now we are gonna have a meeting right now in 9 minutes and probably are gonna come with a solution of change everything to USDC or a stable coin. But I mentioned this yesterday to the Harmony team, and Gabi had an amazing PowerPoint that he only got to share 3 minutes or 2 minutes because he didn't have the time. And now I'm after him so he can share that on Harmony or on the website, on the DAO Ops tool to see, because he has really good ideas that should be handed as a Bible, as a book of manuals of how to invest and what to do once you receive your grant. Like this percentage, it's not what to do, but recommendations and keep in mind the volatility. But but yes, the coin. So yeah, and then that was number 2. Number 3, I can't remember, but that was basically it.
I have feedback on that, but Nova, you can share what you're doing with ours. Getting paid in ones and managing it is the same as managing your own investments. The last thing you want to do is sell at a loss, at least in general. When you buy into a stock market and the market crash, regular retail investors will sell because they panic. But now you have to decide, do you think one is going to continue going down or is it going to go back up? Because you got paid at like 12 cents or something, right? 13 cents. And now if you sell.
So they got paid at like 16 cents
we
or
said
17.
We said 15 and we received the token and the grant when it was 12.99.
Yeah, because it was coming down and it does fluctuate a lot and definitely not a great place to be. I think the first thing to avoid this in the future is perhaps maybe instead of saying, oh, we'll pay you $20 per hour, you can quote it in ones instead. We'll pay you, 100 ones so that whatever the market price is, you're still paying the same number of ones. That's the first change I think we should do as a collective. The second is, okay, now what do you do with your treasury? I mean, it's a tough thing to say, but if it was my own personal investments, I wouldn't sell out now because you have to ask yourself, do you believe in the ones going back up? Because if you sell out now, then you're basically making a bet that, one is going to continue going down.
Yeah, I totally understand. Thank you, Amy, for sure. I know Diana and Novel has a hand raised, but I remember the third point, and it was don't go to investors, VCs, angels without a business plan. once you created the DAO and had this amazing idea, and you're building a team that is helping you not only delegate, but giving you amazing feedback like Amy's, write it all down, create a business plan model as a normal business plan model, right? And give that to the investors, because VCs are not regular investors. They actually bet to have something in return. They're not like grants of protocols that, oh, you're a woman, you're a minority, we want to appear inclusive, here's $10,000. No, it's not protocol grants. This is actually people that are investing in a business. So, and that's how you prove yourself also to be sustainable and to create revenue. And that's going to force you to follow a roadmap. So I would recommend everybody to create that, because you are, if that's your goal, to generate wealth, have your business plan ready and your pitch, your elevator pitch of 2 minutes to go to these VCs and angel investors, because they're not going to take you if you're just like, I have a dream. Yes, those are the grants that, like Tracy's Travel, the founder of her DAO, I interviewed her and I was like, okay, what did you do? I just went up and asked for money. I'm not afraid of asking money. And I'm like, whoa, you're such a like strong personality and have all the person, you know, there are people who they don't have that personality, right? And did you have a business plan? I had an idea. So it was there, you can put everything in perspective and say, okay, protocols work like grants work like that, with the vision, with the idea, with the community, right? And they give you money. But VCs and angels are a different whole deal.
Novel, you have your hand, and then Diana.
Yes. So yeah, so I think, just going back to the ones fluctuating, that's a problem for us as well. That's why for me, because I understand, treasury and risk management, what we do at Blue DAO is that I'm actually not asking for the money first, because I don't want to absorb the fluctuation risk until we have a way to manage that. That's at least what Blue DAO is doing. And then the second thing is, I love what Amy said earlier about the mindset. And I think this is something that we have to continue to tell ourselves. Amy and I actually met with the CEO of AAG and had a really, really good time with him. He talked to us a lot about funding and a lot of things that you talked about, Annalisa, for the VCs and angels. What I realized, and he said to us, he said, I'm really poor. He's cash poor, but equity rich. His fund, AAG, I think they raised $25 million in the span of, I don't know, a month or something like that. So what I'm trying to say is that as DAO leaders, that is the kind of conversation, that's the kind of mindset that we really have to change. Otherwise, we'll run into the same issues again and again. And the third point I want to end with is, I want all of you to know that we are working on a blue incubator. Okay, that's actually one of the main reasons why Amy and I went to Amsterdam, is to forge these relationships. And the Blue Incubator is specifically to incubate women-led projects. Okay, we saw what happened and what could potentially happen when we have men providing grants to women, right? And most of the team in Harmony is amazing. We'll say all of them is amazing. But we want to, have a woman-led, incubator for women projects. We are still kind of ironing out the details, but I'm thinking one of sort of the requisite of it is that we'll ask, in return of the funding, we'll ask a percentage that goes back to the Blue Treasury, which then funds, other women-led projects as well as the contributors. That's one of our ways to potentially pay our contributors. And one other way to attract contributors, Diana, back to your question, is also for us, we're looking to provide our key contributors the ability to buy into these women-led projects at cost. So as you can see, even though we're not paying our contributors, but we are constantly looking at ways to enrich them in a whole different way. So yeah, so for all of you who are in the DAO Alliance, who are having your own DAOs or setting something up for yourself, this is something for you guys to also consider. And I want you guys to know that we are working very hard on that on our end for Blue DAO to set up this incubator process. Because when we were there, like there was a whale, right, in Amsterdam, and it was a gentleman, and he's really nice. But Amy and I could see firsthand how everybody just flocked to him, especially, women. So it was like, wow, it was very interesting to see that dynamic. And sometimes we do it because we think that, oh, we need to get funding, we need to do whatever it takes. And that's one of the main reasons why Amy and I feel the need to have Blue Incubator, and Lana has been instrumental in pushing that forward as well. So I wanted to just give an update on that.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, because this is part of the treehouse, is also like every time we figure out stuff, we'll share it with you too. So whatever we figure out, we share. You're up, Diana.
Abel, you're my favorite person in this call, besides Lana and Annalisa and Amy and Marcelo and Kate and and Melanie and everyone. Dale, Annalisa, bella. But yeah, please respond to my message. I want to talk with you also. I talk to you in Telegram. Write to me. I'm gonna be like a Latina mom. I'm going to just leave you there in the dirt. And no, seriously, I love that. What happened with the grants really was a thing that I think that is also not talked about. That's also why I love this call, to talk about those kind of issues. I did talk to Gabby immediately. I'm going to put my video down because it looks like I'm being hacked. Don't worry, it's not. Okay, but one of the things that I learned immediately from the call with Harmony was this. First thing, in the moment that I received the funds, I was staying actually at Marcelo's house in Espiritu Santo. He saw me, freaked out immediately when I received my funds. And the immediate response that I got from the team while this was happening was, oh, the grants will go down. The token does this, So I really hope that one of the main things that we take care of is the proper follow-up on the people that are new to the space that are counting on us to generate revenue. Because that is one also of my main, of course I could just give them links to bounties, to my contributors, to my members. Of course I could do that. The thing that worries me is that if they get paid in tokens, if they have to learn how to breach, if they have to learn how to, I don't know, use multiple networks, because they're going to lose everything if they try to, try to get their phones out of their wallet using a transaction in ERC20, like those little things that seem very, very obvious to us, but are not for the common person that just want to get their money from their work. Like we're talking about the mentality, it's something that you have to change through proving people that this works. So to me, it was a huge huge slap to the face to receive those messages, because it was like, yes, you got the money. Don't shut up, but kind of shut up. Like we're doing what we can. We're doing our best. So I talked to Gabriel immediately afterwards, and he did send me he calls it a Bible for tokenomics. I don't know if you guys already managed that PDF. It looked like something. I can share it later on the Telegram group. I think that is what Annalisa was talking about. But these are the type of stuff that I really hope that we can have all these resources available for new founders, for any new project that comes out of this, because I didn't have it in the moment, and I felt just as shitty as Annalisa, because I had to immediately turn the tokens into DAI within the Binance network, and then not knowing how to fucking get them out. It took me 4 hours. It was not fun at all, and include me having to trust my funds, including the financing from Blue by the way. I put everything I earned during this trip into my project. Okay. So everything that I had in ones, I immediately exchanged it to DAI, and felt guilty about it. And that has definitely, and I have to say, it has definitely also affected my trust in the protocol. So I see a lot of DAOs that are saying, oh, we're financed by Harmony. And then I love the Harmony team. I think that they're awesome. We were treated so well. But as a journalist and as a user, this was a pretty big like a hit that really led me like wondering, because I'm not a technological person. I'm not a technical person. So all the things that are behind the protocol that make it so great, for me, need to be intuitive so I can actually talk to others about it and I can actually like recommend it to others. To me, so far, they are the protocol that financed Blue DAO, so I could get to Brazil and get to work on what I'm passionate about. And I am very grateful for that. But if it comes to the sustainability of it, like the how can I talk to people about it if I had such a bad experience when it
I think
came
Dinah,
to that?
yeah, I think Dinah, that's a very fair question. And trust me, like as much, I mean, we love Harmony, right? Like, I will say, like they have been extremely generous to us, and I only really have a appreciation for that because Al right now is kind of contributing for Harmony, and I see sort of behind the scenes, they are really how do I say it? They have been so generous to us, so much more than what they do with their own people, and I just want you to know that. And also, secondly, is that as much as I hate to say this, but it is true, we're building the bridge as we are crossing it. You know, we are, and they are working as best as they could to help fix issues. So it is not an excuse, but I would say that let's contribute back to, you know, give good feedback, right, which you are right now, and then let's see what we can do that on the back end to make sure that they are solutioning on it. This is definitely not a place where if people are risk averse, it may not be in the right place for them first. You know, like if think about it from the internet, think about it, maybe I'm dating myself right now, but back in the 90s, you know, when we click on something, you have to freaking wait for 5 minutes before the page loads. If it does it right now, like we would be like, we won't even interfere with that space at all. And that's why I wrote to Lee when you know, when we were doing the OmniSig, I'm like, I feel like I'm going back to dinosaur years, going back like, you know, 10, 20 years back in time to just freaking do a transaction. But the reality is that this is what the blockchain state is now. You know, we are at the very infancy stage, and it is a common problem, not just in Harmony, but also in others. Maybe some other protocols, maybe at a better stage, some maybe at a later stage. But what I'm trying to say is to understand and maybe have empathy of where the industry is currently, and let's support and let's build that. And then also share the resources that what you said earlier on about the tokens and the treasury, because we do need it for Blue DAO as well.
Can I echo on that? So Diana, your experience is consistent with our experience too as a DAO. We also have a lot of hiccups, and it's like a lot of pain points as a DAO to manage our treasury, even to pay our own scholars. But this is exactly where the opportunities lie. You know, OmniSig won first prize in ETH Rio because we had personal pain points with the Harmony multisig, and then it became first prize, right? The DAO Raw tooling thing that won ETH Amsterdam, we told them what our pain points were as a DAO, and then they created a product to solve that pain point. So what I'm saying here, Dinah, is like, yes, we're experiencing this pain points. Now, how can we solve it, right? It's not like pointing the fingers like, how can you solve? Harmony has a very lean team of 20. They can't solve everything, right? They got layer 1 blockchains, RPC, all kinds of things that they're looking to create and build. And our focus here is like, how can we build our DAO, and how can we create value by solving those pain points? So I would recommend try to changing your mindset of like, okay, well, this project is bad, but like, how can I solve it? How can I help solve it? which is like one of the things we're doing here with this DAO Alliance call with Lana, is how can we talk about our pain points and figure out how to manage our treasury together when the one fluctuates. So I guess what I'm saying is, when we're being funded by Harmony and we get paid in ones, you should think about it as getting paid with the equity of Harmony, right? If you cash out immediately, then you're not buying into the potential of what Harmony is. And now, if we're in the Harmony ecosystem, when they're having all these problems, they rely on the community, which is us, to come up with products and service to solve those pain points.
Yeah. And that's part of what we were doing with the hackathon stuff too. So I think it's like, keep bringing up what you're bringing up, and everyone, like, how innovation works is people being honest about what doesn't work. And then us as a collective, wherever our skills are capable, solving those problems. And part of blockchain and part of being in any innovative space is like, you're going to have way more problems than you are things going smoothly. And the goal, which I kind of might be a weird analogy, but I feel like it's the same thing with human rights. Like, my whole thing with human rights is like, my goal is to make the world a little bit better for the people who come after me, because the people who came before me did some work. And I think it's like the same thing with blockchain and what we're building. It's like, our life's going to be a little bit harder. What we struggle with, what annoys us, what we wish wasn't so, how can we build the systems, build the tools, build the playbooks to make it so that whoever's coming after us has it a little bit easier, because it's more of like a team effort for us to create the kind of not just space we want, but also the solutions to things we want. And I also feel like with some of the stuff that's coming up, we've been noticing that too, like within Blue DAO, because like you, we're going at a really quick pace, and we're going at such a quick pace that we are really likely to come up against all the things that don't go wrong faster than other people, because we're moving so quickly. And so it's like the blessing and the curse of being really ambitious and hardworking and actually getting things accomplished, is you get to like all the new uncharted problems before everyone else. But Melanie, I see you got your hand up, so I'll let you share your 2 cents. Your $1 million cents, actually. Yours is worth more than 2.
I'll just add one quick note to what you were saying. I used to have a coach that used to say, the baby that falls the most is the baby that learns to walk fastest, you know? So this is a space that we're in. And it's scary, but here we are. I wanted to turn a little bit and go back to something that was mentioned earlier about finding contributors. So when we were on the call, the core meeting, we were working on the onboarding form with Randy. And so I kind of wanted to like be clear and to make a plan about moving forward, because just now someone suggested, Kate suggested a board, but my understanding, what do you think? Like, should we do both, right? Because Randy's form is going to ask all these questions, and the goal is to have, so Amy and Novell, essentially the form, I think, well, not everyone was on the call, but essentially there's a couple of steps. Right now, we are asking for the lead of each team to write a blurb about what their team is and what role what roles might that team need. Then we were going to create a Google form that provides a lot of information and then ask the community to fill it out, right? So we want to streamline the process as much as possible. So we have so much information from them that there's not a lot of back and forth, right? So this would be a really encompassing form of, we're going to answer a lot of questions for them about each team, about roles, about skill sets. We're going to learn a lot about what they offer and have them fill this out. My intention is to get on the phone with Randy at some point today to see where else, what else we can do to get this form completed ASAP. So with that being said, we are sending out a form to ask people to fill it out. Does everyone think we should also create a different form that has people that, per project, you know? Yeah, should we have both? Kate.
Yeah, so I think we should have like on the Notion page where also each team lead will have like the open spots that are available so that when people are applying, and I think that's what we are doing, where every team lead is doing a blurb, but then also the open contributor spots, so that we will have that in one place where people can look at like what are the things that we need. Because I think a pain point for DAOs is like people are like, I want to help, but it's impossible to delegate. So having really like clear things that we need help with, and those two, the form says to go to that place to like look at what contributor roles are open. And then I think long-term, we could also host contributor roles for all of our like Alliance DAOs too, where it's just like one place, and then we can like send contributors out to like, other DAOs.
Yeah, like a job board. Yeah, because I know I'm the kind of person that won't like, if I want to contribute, like say I wasn't a scholar in Blue DAO, I wouldn't like fill out a form for Blue DAO as just like a blanket, I want to contribute. I would only apply to a role that I'm like, yes, I want to do that and I have the skill set for it. So it's different because some people like want to just contribute anywhere, and then some people have skills that they're like, I only want to use my skills. So having both, I think, is not actually redundant and useful, because you're hitting like people who just want to support Blue DAO and will help wherever they're needed. And then you have people who are like, no, I'm looking for specific, like to use a specific skill set that I have, because I want to do certain kind of work, and they're like going to peruse like the job board.
So is there a form that's are either you or Randy working on a form? Yes, that's a yes, okay. That says that, right? Maybe like, this is the job, this is what's needed, and here are the skill sets that's associated with it, and having more detail. Like,
so that I think is right now, like every team lead is filling out that, and then right now they're like in separate tranches or whatever Notion pages. So Randy started it, but no one has filled it out yet. So we need to like, I can send a reminder today, but then we can get all those and put it all in one space. After, we just need people to tell us what they need, like all the team leads.
And the job board would like get updated with time.
Yeah,
it would be like a ongoing form.
I think there's two things here that we're doing. First is core team / core contributors recruitment, which we are handling from the Blue DAO Notion page, identifying our structure, team leads, and core contributors for those leads. And then separately is like projects and tasks that need to be done. So we have DAO that is now launching. DAO is kind of like a Trello board for DAOs, where each DAO can list different tasks that they need done. And that's how we can bring in all the other Blue DAO Alliance, what they need help with. And that I think we're working on launching for our own Blue Trello / DAO board. And so going back to your question, Melanie, for the Google Forms, I think that when you have people submit Google Forms, you're almost creating additional paperwork or admin work to go through each of those forms. It might be easier to set like a high level picture of how your structure looks like and who is leading those teams, and then like more like high level scope of not scope of services, but basically, scope of responsibilities for that function. And when you blast it in our 300 member group and say, hey, we're hiring core contributors, not hiring or recruiting, if you want to contribute to Blue DAO, feel free to sign up with this leads for the functions or like core DAOs that you're interested in. So that way, people who are interested will just reach out to the leads. And then the leads will know, right, immediately what they're doing with their strategy and immediate task or what help they need. I think that's easier.
Does anyone have
So
anything else?
yeah, I just want to say one last thing, and I think this has been incredible. I know we're like 20 minutes over. For Melanie and the team who's putting this together, the one thing I would strive is for sort of making it very easy and seamless for people and for you. You know, the easier it is means that when we can combine things and make it one form instead of 5 or 3, that would be best. And second, when you provide the information from them to fill out versus from you having to chase, that would also be best. So try to think a bit more from a end-to-end procedure. If I'm coming in, I'm interested in Blu3 DAO, what form do I have to create and where do I go to be a contributor? Kind of think of it from that end-to-end perspective will help as we develop the process. Okay. I gotta go, but this was really, really helpful. And I'm not sure, Ivana, if you're going to be wrapping the call up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm 20 minutes late for another call, but that's okay.
Oh, no,
I told them. And so just what I wanted to say, and this is mostly for like the recording, anyone watching the recording as well. Yeah, a lot of the things that we brought up today, like, again, how do you actually protect your treasury, especially when like ones or things like that are fluctuating? How do you get contributors, even if you can't pay them? How do you generate revenue? All of the types of stuff. It's just always knowing that even if we don't have sound answers right now, it's something that any issues that are being brought up are also issues that we're already aware of and are also working on. And obviously, because of how our group operates, and the point of these calls is to genuinely, like, when one of us solves the issue, share the answer and help. So it's also just knowing, because I know sometimes when you feel like you're coming up against a problem, it can really feel like you have to solve the problem. And so the point of this group is that a lot of problems come up, a lot of problems happen, but ultimately only one of us has to find a solution. And then through that solution, like, share that. And that's the point of the mastermind, is we're like a mastermind when we all come together. So just knowing too, for people, that everything that was brought up today, we are well aware of, we are also working on, and that there's going to be other problems that come up that we haven't thought of. And the idea is that together we go further, because together we share our resources, we share support, we share knowledge. This is not a space where we hoard information and we're like, haha, we figured it out first, suckers, you're on your own. That's like the opposite of the Blu3 DAO treehouse. So just knowing too that problems that are arising, you are genuinely not alone in. We are all working to find those solutions, and we want to find solutions because we want to create sustainability in this space, not just for ourselves, but everyone. So just knowing that too, that, because I know sometimes it's frustrating when you're like, I have a problem and there's no answer yet. We're all of us are, one of us is going to get to the answer or find the answer, and then support everyone and share it. So just as we'll end on that. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone. We'll have another meeting in 2 weeks for the DAO Alliance style call. But I've been getting a lot of interest in having people support. So we're going to try and find a way to make it where we have weekly calls, and they're just different hosts, different styles. So like everything, if you also want to host something or host a discussion or facilitate something, please reach out to us, or like just say, hey, I'm going to do this in the DAO Alliance chat, and then set up a call and send your link. But does anyone have anything that they want to share before we hopped off?
When will the recording be available?
This recording? It should be available like within the next 20 minutes usually. So I sent the last one. I'll send this one to our Blu3 DAO email. And then I'm not really sure, maybe we can like post the recording in our Discord or something. We can decide where the recording goes. But I've been forwarding them to our Blu3 DAO email account. So I'll forward the recording there as well.
Lana, can you paste the recording links in our Discord Blu3 DAO Alliance chat, so people have a one place to go to access prior recordings?
Yeah. Okay. In Telegram or Discord?
Discord. I think Telegram gets lost.
Okay, yeah. I'll definitely put it in Discord. And then okay, yeah. And Marina, you have your hand up, your virtual hand.
What is the periodicity that we're gonna do this DAO Alliance for with Blu3? A weekly, bi-weekly?
Right now we're doing this call bi-weekly.
Okay.
But check the Discord because the time has remained the same, but there's time, like there's usually I give 3 options and then people vote. But yeah, we've been doing these every 2 weeks, but that also means that we can do more. Like if we're finding these to be really helpful, we can definitely do more. It's just like anything, make sure that there's a demand for it and then you increase the supply. Don't want to overwhelm
You're
people.
a great person to lead an entrepreneur call. Amazing.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
all right, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye,
I
everyone.
love seeing all of you guys over here. It's like our E3O. It's like, how do I say it? There's a birth of new leaders and new DAOs and whatnot. So I just love seeing you guys over here and having these real talks.
Yes. See you all soon.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.